So you lost your job. Gee, you must work in tech. But if you in fact did lose your job, well, brother or sister, I've been there several times. So here are 5 things I would do immediately if I were to lose my job tomorrow. But first, coffee. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is not coffee. But that line was way too long, not moving, and they were handing these out as free samples. So I figured, what the hell? Alani. It's not bad. But devs, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Derick. I'm a senior front-end developer based out of Los Angeles, California. And in today's video, I'm gonna be going over a couple of things I would do immediately if I were to lose my job tomorrow. So let's get into it. All right, shit's been rough. Shit's been rough this year. 2024 has not been it if you are working in the tech sector. I mean, take a look at this. And as I'm shooting this, today's Saturday, August 4th. Just yesterday, the news about Intel dropped. 15,000? Like 15,000? What? Like what is happening? It's been all year. You know, in my opinion, the tech bubble has basically burst at this point. A lot of us were fortunate enough to get hired kind of during that sweet spot of COVID during the pandemic around 2020, 2021, when it was a candidate's market. It is now an employer's market. I know it's simple supply and demand, but there are simply just not enough jobs and too many candidates in the hiring pool. So outlook is not so good. Shit is bleak right now. And unfortunately, as a byproduct of that, here in mid 2024, a lot of companies are downsizing. A lot of companies are letting those people go. So if you're recently laid off or in the market for a new role right now, it is just really, really bad. But if that were to happen to me, these are the things that I would do. All right, the first thing I would do is I would immediately fuck off. I would just fuck off. Like, enjoy a little downtime and possibly take a spontaneous trip somewhere. Because in reality, you're gonna be paid out on your PTO, and if you're lucky, possibly provided some kind of severance. So use it. Take at least 1 week. At the very minimum, 5 days. Take 5 days and just chill. Don't worry about getting your ducks in a row at this time. This is your buffer. This is your processing period. Your cut will have possibly taken place during the end of the week, Friday, possibly even a Thursday. So at the very minimum, get out and at least enjoy that weekend. I mean, what else are you gonna do? It's not like you got work on Monday. So just fuck off and take a little time for yourself. All right, the second thing I would do after my little hiatus is over is I would sit down and file for unemployment insurance. Brother or sister, get that ball rolling. It's gonna be at least 5 to 6 weeks before you see a dime, especially if you live in a state like California, like I do, where a lot of these layoffs are occurring. The unemployment office is probably inundated and overwhelmed with claims. So file your claim and get your application in as soon as possible. It only takes about 30 minutes and that's it. This one stings a little. This one feels a little shameful. And even though this safety net of unemployment isn't the best, it's at least something. This is gonna help buy you a little more financial runway and pad your savings while you figure things out. I believe it does vary state to state, but at least here in California, the maximum weekly allotment for unemployment is $450 a week. That is, of course, before federal income tax is withheld, but you're definitely gonna wanna check that box on your continued claim form to have federal income taxes withheld, so at least you don't get dinged at tax time. This is gonna drop your weekly allotted amount to $405 a week, which is barely over $1,600 a month, but like I said, it's something. You know, this is really not bad. All right, the third thing that I would do now is start to collect my ducks and get them in a nice little row and update that resume and LinkedIn. First things first, set that bad boy to open for work and gather a few recommendations and references from your now former colleagues if you can. And you know what, kick them one as well. You know, you gotta get each other's backs. Kick a few recommendations their way for their LinkedIn profiles so that they can return the favor. Every little bit helps. Now for the resume. Format matters here. These things typically go into a database when you apply somewhere and then they get parsed. So you're gonna want an easy to read and digest format like this. This is gonna help when ATS scanners parse and scan through all of the strings in your resume and help pull yours into the callback group. The goal here is to obviously look good on paper so you can get that initial phone screen. So name, big and bold at the top, city and state, email, phone number, and a link to your LinkedIn profile. A professional summary is not mandatory, but if you do include one on there, just keep it short and sweet. They're for the most part considered fluff, and hiring managers or senior engineers or anybody of that type who's gonna be looking over your resume, They just want to get to the meat and potatoes. They want to know your work experience and your education. Those are the important things. Speaking of work experience, I would definitely utilize the XYZ format when it comes to your job descriptions. Companies want to see the direct impact you had on the organization, so give it to them. Examples of this would be X is going to be the action you took, Y is going to be the result you achieved, and Z is the context or quantifiable outcome. Definitely Google the XYZ format for resumes for a more detailed explanation. Just remember, you gotta look good on paper first to get anywhere on the job search. The goal is to get that initial phone screen, and that's gonna get the ball rolling. All right, the fourth thing that I would queue up for myself post job loss is just establish a routine. I'm talking study time, project time, leisure time, job application time, personal time, self-care time, all of it. Try to block these out and maintain some sort of schedule on a regular basis. This will give you more of a sense of purpose and help maintain whatever mental health you have left, because job loss is, well, it's not easy. Shit sucks. Just because you're not working doesn't mean you have to just waste away. Keep yourself up, active, and ahead of it all. So definitely block all this out on your calendar, especially the study time. You need at least a month of prep before you can really start firing off resumes, because the interview process is, the barrier for entry is just so high now. Really brush up on those data structures and algorithms. I mean, I recommend HackerRank or Algo Expert. Algo Expert is kind of a more premium paid data structures and algorithms challenger, but you definitely got to prep for those technical evals. No two are alike. They're all different. Every company does it a little bit differently. You've got your pair programming sessions, your timed challenges, your take-home assignments. They're all like a little different. So you want to prep for all of that. But don't neglect this one. Establish a routine. You have the time, take advantage of it. And the fifth and final, this is doing too much. There we go. The fifth and final thing I would do is build a job application and interview tracker. You're gonna be firing off hundreds, if not thousands of resumes into the dark, having phone screen after phone screen, hopefully, technical eval after technical eval, and you're gonna take a lot of L's before you get to a W. So keep track of it all. That way, if things don't pan out well for a certain lead, you can at least cross that one off the list and simply just focus on the next one. So keep a log. Early off in my career, when I was on the job search, I didn't do this, and I would always get super overwhelmed with email notifications and things like that. And I just lost track of who was who and who I was talking to. I was just really careless, so don't make that mistake. Just throw it in Apple Notes or Notion, or make a Google Doc or something like that, or a Google Sheet. You know, just keep it simple. Just categorize each lead with either interviewed or applied, or if they decided to move on with another candidate. Just keep track for your own sanity. And this last one is more of a bonus, but just deploy an ungodly amount of patience. I don't want to make things sound vague or that I'm trying to paint everything here with a very broad brush, but you're gonna need a lot of patience. I'm just gonna say it's gonna be at least 3 to 6 months before you line something up again. Possibly even longer. I mean, when things at my role back in January of this year, when they had those initial layoffs, there are still members of our team who are currently still looking. And we're in August. Like, it's really bad right now. So you gotta deploy some patience. Interviewing is unfortunately very broken and a very arduous process, especially if you're early off in your career. Maybe you only have like 1 or 2 previous experiences. It's gonna take you a while to get on board somewhere. For reasons unknown right now, the market, it's just like this seniors only market. It's just like nobody's really hiring or bringing on junior level developers right now. It's really tough. They're always asking for like 3 to 5 years experience, but how are you supposed to get that experience without getting a job, you know? So just stay the course, keep your head down for like 6 months, deploy some patience, and hopefully something just comes your way. I do think the market will bounce back, but it's definitely not going to be this year. I think into 2025, we'll see a bit of a rebound, but only time will tell. But devs, that's it for this one. Hopefully this helps. If you enjoyed this or got some value out of this, definitely click event that like button. If you're feeling chatty, feel free to leave a comment. But as always, if you want to support the channel, all you have to do is